Hey, Josh. So I've been here a couple months now, and we have some pretty ambitious goals for the year. So I'm going to put a formal marketing budget in front of you to help us get there.
Yeah, Jess, that makes sense. Just remember, scrappy startup, first time really having mechanism.
Money, please.
Hey, Jess, remember that time that you presented your first marketing budget to me and I basically fell out of my seat?
I do, but you were also really excited about it. I do remember that.
You were manipulative in the way that you presented it to me, that you made me excited about giving you hundreds of thousands, close to millions of dollars.
I think you're exaggerating just the tiniest bit, but yeah, psychology, man.
What was let's bring people, because I might be exaggerating, but you did have a masterclass in how you built a budget and presented it to me and got me somehow excited to give you this insane budget. Let's bring people through that journey, and starting probably before you even were doing the budget, when you got in seat, what was that journey like for you?
Yeah. Well, so I started in February of this year, 2025, the year of our Lord 2025. And, I think any person coming in, first marketing hire, has a ramp up period, right? Where I'm trying to figure out the product and the people and what are our goals and what do we have that's working for us? What are we missing? What are some gaps? But pretty quickly after that, it's okay, this is kind of the lay of the land. And now I know this is where we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
So I have where we currently are and the destination, and there's got to be something in between, right? We have to do the things we need to do to get to those goals.
Yeah.
And you got to have resources. And so I was hey, I kind of think I need a budget.
Well, this is episode 1 of season 2. So we've had a full season now to understand how marketers respond to this podcast. And one of the things we learned is they like taking snippets of this podcast and sending it to their boss, typically a loser like me that doesn't understand marketing.
CEO.
CEO, dumb. So snippet number 1 is marketing costs money. You need resources to do the job. You don't just hire a marketer and they market.
Right.
I never knew that.
Yeah. No, they need some dollar bills
some dollar
to
bills,
get some things done. Yeah. So yeah, I think here's the other thing. I had never done this before. It's my first time as head of marketing. Oh. I've stood content teams up at previous companies. I've been head of content at previous companies. So I built a content budget.
Yeah.
But I've never built the whole thing.
How does it compare, by the way? Just out of curiosity, I don't have a content background. Is it, again, dumb CEO? I'm content's just humans writing stuff. So just hire a person and you're done. How does it compare to the larger budget you had to build?
It's different in that you're only thinking of one small piece of it, right? So you're only having to think of the content creation, distribution, some production. Like this, right?
Yeah.
This is our production budget at work.
This isn't free?
Oh, God, no. So, I think you're just thinking of kind of a fraction of what you have to. With a full marketing budget, it's very much what is going to get us to our goals.
Yeah.
It's also what can we test? What are we going to put some bets behind that we don't really know if they're going to pan out?
Yeah.
So actually maybe let's take a little bit of a step back of just how we even got to that point, I think would be super helpful.
Yeah, I think so. I knew, jokes aside, I knew it was going to take some money. And in the first handful of months that you were here, it was already really clear with the limited resources that you had that marketing was working for us, and it was something we wanted to double down on. And so I did know that at some point you were going to come to me asking for more resources. And so if I remember correctly, it's actually something I approached you about, which is hey, we're getting closer to the back half of the year when you first started doing planning. I would love for you to tell me what I don't know and what we should be planning for, which I bet makes budget conversations a little bit easier when you're being asked to create them.
Oh yeah, much easier, right? As opposed to me being money please.
Money please.
For real in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been places where, and again, not as a head of marketing, but as a content leader where I have to ask for money for every little thing I want to do.
Yeah.
Quite a few places I've been don't have a formal marketing budget. It's one of those things where if there's money and we think the idea is good, we'll do it.
Yeah.
But that makes it much harder.
And it's so funny. I speak to so many founders and CEOs now, and they often reach out to me and say like, how are you doing what you're doing? And, you know, I'll talk about like, hey, we understood that we market to marketers or that, you know, in outbound and sales is getting really difficult and we needed to do something different. So many executives are excited about the outcome of like, oh my gosh, I see vector everywhere. How are you doing it? But then when I sit down and say like, oh, you have to invest in your marketing team. You have to give them a budget. You have to give them resources. You can see this like glaze come over their eyes. They're just like, oh, I thought it was going to be easy.
Yeah. Or that can't be it.
That can't be. It can't be marketing.
No, what else are you doing?
What are your growth hacks? How are you using AI in outbound emailing?
Right. Yeah. What else is up your sleeve?
Right,
Because it can't be marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I think it's so, that is a really odd like mindset to have, that like you would hire marketers and not give them the tools they need, money being a tool to do their job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd been places where I understood the pitfalls of not having a formal budget and just doing things if it's a good idea and there's money somewhere.
Yeah.
Because then you're requesting budget for everything every time. And it just slows it down.
And it probably feels like you have to fight tooth and nail for like everything you do, right? A lot of time now, I won't jump ahead, but like obviously you did eventually get a budget.
Yep.
And now it's every time you have a creative idea or you're presented a sponsorship opportunity, it's less about us debating whether we should do it and more about like, you have budget. Is this the place you want to allocate it over the rest?
That's absolutely what it is. It gives the power to the marketer to make the decision.
Oh, I like that.
Rather than me having to ask permission
Yeah.
every time I want to do something. Because now I'm fighting sales.
Yeah.
I'm fighting all the other marketing departments for budget.
Yeah.
Like how do you prioritize if you aren't going to give your marketer
Yeah.
or at least your head of marketing? I've been places where even like my CMO didn't have a full marketing budget.
Yeah.
They just had to go ask for stuff all the time.
You know what it's like? You just gave me this it's like a reverse prenup. Like a marketing budget is like a reverse prenup. Like
Yeah.
set expectations before shit gets nasty.
That's right. Yeah.
Get that bag, girl.
Take it with you.
Take it with you. Don't need no man.
That's
or no
right.
budget. No, you do need budget.
You need budget.
So
yes.
so I knew that we needed something.
Yep.
You were excited. You had spent a couple months sort of like understanding the lay of the land, understanding the product, understanding the market.
Yeah.
What did the process actually look like from that moment on?
It was real messy. I'm not going to lie. It was not like a beautiful like spreadsheet immediately. I had no idea what I was doing. I've never put a full marketing budget together before.
Could have fooled me.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. I'm going to take that one to think. I started with what I knew, which was content.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew like what we would need to do for the year. I had in my head kind of the strategy that I had built and presented to you and Nick of like, here's how we're going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew just from my content background, like what it would take to actually do that. So I started there.
Well, this was actually really something you educated me on. And like in hindsight, it feels like very obvious, but it was insightful to me at the moment, which was like, everything in your budget was essentially amplification of content, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, if we don't have anything to talk about, there's nothing to like we have nothing to say at events. We have nothing to write in our ads. We have nothing to publish on our blog, right? So like
Right.
everything, I really enjoyed that. It was about like, how do we create the assets and the materials and like, as a dumb CEO, I when I think content, I'm like, oh, she's gonna write blogs. But it truly was like the coal that like stoked the rest of the budget.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was thinking like, how do we scale that?
Yeah.
So that it's not only me creating kind of the pieces that come out of, the podcast and all of the stuff that Alex is doing with product marketing.
Yeah.
How do we actually get someone on board to like take some of that and do other things with it?
Yep.
So I kind of knew what that would cost. That was where I paused for a while because I kind of had like a small, not panic attack, not a mentee bee.
Not a mentee bee, just a little crisis.
Not a little panty attack, nothing like that. But like, a little bit of tightness in my chest because I didn't know what to do from there. And we're just starting out as a company. This is the first time we've done anything marketing wise.
Yeah.
It's the first time we've ever allocated any kind of budget to marketing. we didn't have historical data on like what had worked before, what we'd spent before, what didn't go well, so we should not do that again. What did go well, so we should double down. Like we had none of that.
And not to mention, I'm just guessing, you're probably also trying to weigh out like what's going to be the reception of this budget, right? Like even if you solved all those problems and you knew what worked and what didn't work and have all this historical data, like you still have to put a number in front of someone that you report to.
Yes.
And like, I imagine it's a little bit like negotiation where you're just like, I could start off high, but then they might think I'm crazy. And then that was right. Like there's all these things where you had never built these kinds of budgets before that probably were running through your mind. What did you do? Like, did you talk to people? Like, what'd you do?
Oh, yeah. So, and that point is so true. I had to put this document, this budget, this idea in front of you and Nick, and I didn't want you to like laugh me out of the room.
Yeah.
I needed you to take me seriously.
Yeah.
I needed you to look at that number and be like, that feels right.
Yeah.
And without reading your mind or being like, how much money can I spend?
Yep. It's good that you didn't ask that question because Nick would have been like, $2
Yeah, I know.
per year.
I actually think he made a joke where he was like, I'll Venmo it to you.
He did.
I'll Venmo your marketing budget.
You're like, well, there's a $10,000 limit on Venmo, so that ain't gonna work.
Yeah, that's a problem. So yeah, like I didn't want to lead the witness.
Yeah.
But I needed you all to like feel good about the number. Here's where this is the balance I wanted to strike. I wanted you to feel excited about it and a little nervous. I wanted it to make you a little nervous.
That happened.
I feel like that's
Exactly how I felt.
Excellent. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you need to toe that line a little bit.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it probably means you aren't asking for really all the things you need.
And as a CEO and as a founder, if you're going into meetings and hearing everything you expect to hear, you're the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's great.
Like that, like that's how I feel is like, you should present things to me that challenge me, make me question, would I have done that differently? Would I have spent that much? Because if the answer is like, no, I would have done it exactly the same. Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I say, why are you here as if it's your problem, but in reality, it's my problem. Why are you here as in like, why haven't I given away that trust? Why, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so bring back, okay. So you didn't know, okay, what was the right number?
Yeah.
Like how to think about these things. Like where'd you go from there?
So I had an idea of content. So I built kind of the content bucket first to kind of see where I was. And then knowing what I knew about how much content that content budget would get me, then I was kind of like, okay, I also need to think about kind of these other buckets. One of distribution of that content.
Yeah.
So that's going to be some sort of paid media.
Yep.
And so I need to think about that, but like, man, I'm not a demand gen marketer. That's tough for me. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what number is going to get me to a point where I'm reaching enough people, but not spreading all the content too thin. So, okay, I need to pause on that. So I kind of set that aside.
Yeah.
Another one was events. So we had some, I think going back to the strategy, which I don't think we want to talk a whole lot about strategy here, but the budget has to tie back to that.
Yeah.
So I think thinking through events being one of our like big rocks for the year, that felt really important to start thinking about budget-wise as well.
Yep.
We aren't in a place where we're going to go sponsor like an inbound,
Right.
obviously.
Yeah.
So what's going to be the play for us?
Yeah.
Probably sidecar type of events at something like inbound, which we have a whole episode on later. Stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. I gotta do it. Hit that subscribe button.
We're starting to get into that Gen Z territory. 6, 7.
6, 7. This is my goal for this podcast this season is to say 6, 7 enough that it's not cool to my almost teenage daughter anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't have to hear it at home. So I'm sorry, listeners. It's got to happen.
Wait, if we just have to be fair really quickly because a week ago you introduced this to me and I didn't know what it meant,
Yes.
and so there's going to be some listeners.
It doesn't mean anything.
That's okay. I just wanted to make that super clear. If
Yes.
you're non-Gen Z and you're wondering what the hell Jess means when she says 6, 7, so is everybody else.
Yeah.
No one else knows what that means.
It's a
either.
weird middle school slang phrase that they say. It's apparently from a song, and they will find 7,000 opportunities to say it.
I used it last night when I was at Disney. Jen was like, "What time are you waking up in the morning?" I was like, "Between 6 and 7."
See? Yeah. No. Okay, we're gonna make it so uncool here.
Yep.
Okay, where was I?
You were okay. Content distribution
Yes,
events.
Events.
Yep.
We are most likely going to do some sort of smaller sidecar event, like at an inbound,
Yep.
or sponsor small but meaningful events
Yeah.
that are all the rage right now. Thank goodness for us. So that was kind of where I started. Like, what do those packages look like?
Okay.
I have an idea, but I don't really know, right? So this is where you need to start doing kind of like your research, reaching out to friends who are in these spaces. So a couple things I did, I reached out to a couple of friends who are demand gen marketers. I was like, this is kind of our plan for the year. Like, what would that look like to you, right?
Yep.
In terms of actual dollars. Can I throw out a dollar amount?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, all right. So where I landed was $50,000 a month.
Yep.
Everyone collective, like gasp, clutch your pearls real quick.
Yeah. A bunch of founders just like passed out.
Yeah.
listening to us.
$50,000 a month for paid media.
Yeah.
I think I had like $36,000 for content creation.
Yep.
Sounds about right. For the quarter.
Yep.
And then for events, I think we did somewhere between like 25 and 35 grand
Yep.
total for the quarter. And that would be spread out between those sidecar events at big events like an inbound and sponsoring things like, let's say, a dinner at a smaller event like Exit 5 Drive.
In a couple minutes, we'll talk about like what my side of the equation felt like, what I saw, what you pre-communicated to me, who I spoke to. So I won't get too ahead of myself, but I will call out that for any marketer that's putting together a budget, that for you is at the top of your spreadsheet, for some it's at the bottom. That number is what the CEO goes to first. Like you scroll up, you scroll down, you figure out like where the biggest number is, and you decide like how you're going to feel.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember like collectively, you were doing a budget for, I think it was the back half of the year.
Yes.
And I think the first number, did it start with a 3? Was it 2?
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
300.
For the quarter.
For the quarter.
3 for the quarter. Yes.
And that made me fall out of my chair.
Yeah.
That was, so I wouldn't suggest changing anything about what you did, but just know that that's the behavior of the person reviewing the budget.
Oh, yeah.
Is to like look for that number.
That's what we all do, right? Like I just went shopping for a couch and I get the line itemed like estimate of everything, right?
Yeah.
There's the couch, the rug, the ottoman, like, and you go to the couch first because you're like, that's the thing, right?
Yep.
So it's human nature to look for that big ticket item because that's kind of where you're going to base everything else off of.
100%.
So yeah, I knew that like $150,000 for a quarter for paid media was like scary, considering I don't know, Nick had done some experiments here and there. You guys had run a couple things.
Yeah.
I don't know, you maybe spent a few $1,000s every quarter,
barely
right?
anything.
Handful.
Yep.
Handful of thousands. Is that a thing?
Thousands,
Handful of thousands.
Nick probably just like used like the free LinkedIn credit that you get when you get a new account.
It's like, which ads are free?
He's like, why didn't I get returns with my $300 free credit?
We love you, Nick.
One of us does.
Ooh, we're sending that to him. That's his birthday card.
Yeah, that is. We love you, Nick. Well, one of us does.
So it was big. Everything else in there, right? So if you're doing the math, $150,000 for the quarter for paid media.
Yep.
Let's say 75 grand between content and events.
Yep.
Those are kind of the 3 big plays. Everything else was just like keeping the lights on.
Yeah.
The tools we needed, the couple of contractors we needed for like web development.
Yep.
Someone we would need to actually run paid media because like, I don't know what I'm doing in there. I will just throw money out the window.
Did you have Alex at this point already, a PMM, or was that one of the hires in the?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, so she started in April.
Okay,
Yeah.
but to your point, there was a whole section on human resources, whether that was contractors or full-time hires, that you had to kind of like have the forethought to think about what are we going to need in the next 6 months.
And I didn't have any full-time headcount in there just yet, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So I just didn't think we were ready. I think we needed to do some experimenting before we brought somebody on.
Yep.
But we needed someone to actually like do the actual work of running the ads.
Yeah.
So we would bring on a contractor for that. So I had this really finally beautiful spreadsheet. It took me a while, kind of played around with to get to that number that would make you feel excited, but also nervous.
Yeah.
And now it sounds like instead of just a little nervous, it was like real nervous.
A lot nervous.
You sounded like Goofy when you said
a lot nervous.
Gosh, I'm a lot nervous.
Sorry, folks, park's closed. The moose out front should have told you.
That's so funny. So I had this beautiful spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And I was like, now what?
Yeah.
So Dan Murphy, who is COO at Exify,
Yep.
is my advisor
Yeah.
at Vector. So amazing. He gives the best advice. And I
Yep.
was like, I'm going to show this to Dan because Sop tells me he's done a few budgets
Couple
in
budgets
his
in
day.
his life, yeah.
So I put it in front of him and I ran him kind of like, through the line items,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, this is great, but Jess, like, what's the story? And something clicked for me that, like, if I were to put any marketing idea in front of you,
Yeah.
an ad campaign, a video series, a podcast,
Yeah.
I would build a story around it.
Yep.
Why we would need to do it, why right now, what's it gonna do for us, like how's it gonna drive the business, right?
Yeah.
And I realized like this is no different. A budget is no different, but for some reason, because it was numbers in a spreadsheet and
Yeah.
not like a crazy concept,
Yeah.
it did not occur to me that I should be telling you a story about it.
Yeah.
He was like, I think the numbers are great. I think you need to go back and, it doesn't have to be crazy, but like build a quick deck
Yeah.
of like, what's going to get, this was his like words, what's going to get them excited to give you this money?
Yeah.
It's like, so smart.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that you did with this story that I thought was so interesting is I think you understood the dynamics of how you were going to get your budget approved, right? Like you had a lot of conviction in, hey, based off the goals that you've given me, here's the things, the resources I need. Then you built this story. And then you also understood what the process for the approval was. And you knew that ultimately the yes or no was going to come from me, but you knew that I was going to have to go to Nick as my partner to get the dollars approved, right? He's the penny pitcher of the company. And so even though I had the final say, like you knew that there was this internal championship that you needed to create.
Yeah.
So you presented the story to me first before presenting it to both of us.
I gave you a little sneak peek.
Yeah.
Because I knew Nick was going to be my toughest customer.
Yep.
I know you totally get marketing.
Mm-hmm.
You came up with the ghost. You wrote the website. Like, I know that you made the shoes.
Actually, I didn't make the shoes. I made the ghost for the shoes. Nick made the shoes.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Nick, good job, man.
Yay, Nick.
He hates us right now. So I knew the trust you and I have that if I say like, this is what I need to go do what you need me to do, you will essentially maybe make a few tweaks here and there, but be like, great, go do this. This is blessed. Yeah. Nick is different. Mm-hmm. Nick is incredibly stoic. Mm-hmm. He is, he's a numbers guy. Yep. And like, he's going to need to know what exactly is this going to get us? Like nothing floaty, nothing like maybe this is what we think. Like I had to put together like some goals of like, this is my hypothesis of what I think this is going to get us.
Yeah.
And so in order to make sure that it was going to pass the Nick test, I put it in front of the person who knows Nick the best in the company, which is you, right? Yeah. And so I wanted to make sure, one, that you didn't think the numbers were insane. Yep. And two, just make sure that like he wouldn't think I was absolutely bonkers and not know what I was doing. This is the first time I presented something like this to him, right?
100%.
And I had to get it right. Yeah. So I brought it to you first. But before that, I built my story. Yeah. So let me talk a little bit about this because I think this was the thing that like got me the budget. Yep. And we'll get to this in a little bit, but like, spoiler alert, I didn't get everything I wanted. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's fine. But like this story was the thing that really sold it in. Yeah. So what I needed to do was kind of go back to the strategy, one. Mm-hmm. And two, because this was the first budget I was putting in front of you, I wanted you both to remember like why you hired me. Yeah. And what you hired me to do. And so the first couple of slides were like the situation we're in. Yep. And so, of course, I started it with like a Rocky montage gif. It was like, right now, we're Rocky in the montage. Yep. Like, Vector's cool. Mm-hmm. We're in training. Everyone's cheering for us. Yep. We're like, everyone loves us. Yeah. And they like want us to do well, right? And so like, we could go one of two ways. We could step in the ring and like, fuck it up. Yep. Or we could like really go into the ring well-trained and ready to like take down our opponent. Yeah. And so that was like slide one. That was like, I mean, two dudes, like, who doesn't love Rocky? Just put a fucking Rocky
like
gif.
Two white dudes,
Yeah.
like Rocky montage.
Yeah.
Like, it'll work.
Perfect.
And ironically, it works.
Weird.
Weird.
Genius. So slide two was when I was interviewing,
Yeah.
I put together a 30, 60, 90
Yep.
plan. And I gave them each of those phases, each of those 30-day kind of phases, a name. So the first 30 days was called codename Sponge.
Yeah.
That was where I was going to take everything in and figure everything out, meet everyone, get to know the product. Phase two was called Scaffolding. That was where I was going to build the things we needed to build up to get ready to go do all of the marketing activities we needed to do and start to kind of kick some little things off. And then phase three was called, do you remember?
I think it was Ninja Kick.
It's called Ninja Kick. And that was when we were going to roundhouse everyone in the face with our amazing ideas.
Yep.
And so that was slide two, was I took a screenshot of that document with, codename Ninja Kick at the top. And I was like, we're here. We're at codename Ninja Kick.
Well, I think the other thing that helped here, two things actually. One is most people are asked to do like a 30, 60, 90 as part of their like interview process.
Yeah.
You had actually spent the first handful of months actually implementing it, right?
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of folks, it's like an exercise and it gets thrown out the window and we don't actually do it. You were actually doing it. And so this callback in your budget to this thing that you had said you were going to do and you were already had proved that you were doing it, I think helped us. That was a huge part of the conversations Nick and I eventually had, which I'll talk about later, which was just so much of it was trust, right? It was less of us going dollar for dollar and saying, do we think we need to do this? It was more of like, Jess has done nothing but execute all the things that she said she was going to execute. We've got no evidence to prove that we shouldn't support her in what she thinks the strategy is. And so I think that callback between those two things helped us remember like how much you had executed already.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think. Move on. That's enough soft stuff. Keep going.
Enough sappiness already. That is your allotted praise for the day, ma'am.
I'll talk to you in January.
So yeah, I think it was, you're right. I think had I put that in front of you and I hadn't done any of the things I said I was going to do previously, why would you ever think I would execute well on this? So it is a lot of just building trust before you get to the point where you're like, money, please.
Yeah.
So the rest of the deck was really just going back to the strategy that we had already talked about. It was like, these are the big bets.
Yep.
This is where the bulk of the money is going to go. Mind you, I hadn't shown you the spreadsheet yet.
Yeah, it was just the story.
This is like, hey, pro tip, hold the numbers till the end. Get them excited. Build the story.
Yeah.
Right? And so it was like, here's the strategy. Here's the three big rocks: paid media, events, and content. And everything else you're going to see is just keeping lights on, keeping things moving, the scaffolding we need to actually hold up the masterpiece, right?
Yep.
And then I put the numbers in front of you.
Yep.
And you...
Had a heart attack. So the reality of it is you'd done such a good job with like the story where I was excited at that point. You and I a month or two ago just got back from Exit 5, which we'll talk about that event in a couple episodes. But one of the sessions that we sat in was, I know her as Demand Gen. I don't know her actual name.
Jen Allen Newth.
Yeah, Jen Allen Newth.
Legend.
She's done such a good job with branding that I know her as Demand Gen. But she told this like incredible story that people should go like find her content and listen to it. But essentially like if you sell raincoats, right? Don't tell people that you sell raincoats and you're replacing their umbrella because they'll say, I already have an umbrella, right? And I think that's what you did such a good job of is you didn't like put numbers in front of me and say like, give me the opportunity to say, oh, I already have this, or we don't need this, or I have a better solution to this. You told me the story of like what the world would look like. So you gave me this great story. Then you ninja kicked me in the face with the numbers. And I, as a believer in marketing, was expecting something in that range. What I did with that information was I said like, this is great. I don't think I asked you to change anything right away. I think I was just like, okay, I see your framing on this. I see your numbers. Let me go like start to marinate on this and like get people in tune with this. And so
Nick too. Nick was, I think, had very similar reaction, which that was the one I was like worried about, right? Where he was like, I think you've put a really compelling story in front of us.
Yeah.
I do think he said something like, it is more than I was expecting, but like, let us take this back.
Well, and so here's what was interesting, like just to make it super clear for folks, you presented it to me first.
Yep.
I did some stuff, which I'm about to talk about. Then you presented to Nick and I, then Nick and I did some stuff that we'll talk about. So you presented to me. I remember getting off of that call and calling Nick. Like I literally picked up my phone and I called him. And Nick and I mostly Zoom. When we call each other, it's like, like something's happening. And so I called him and I told him like, hey, Jess just presented her budget because he knew it was coming as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, she did an incredible job. The story is amazing. I think you're gonna be really excited about it. I was like, the number's more than you are expecting. Yeah. And I remember he like started like routing off numbers. Like, is it more than $100,000 a quarter? Is it more than $200,000 a quarter? And I was just like, keep going. And I don't think I told him the number in that. I think I was like, hey, I just want you to know that it's high. Yeah. Be prepared. I don't want to poison the well on my feelings yet. Like, just let Jess present it. And so then you basically ran that same presentation again, but now with Nick and I both in it. I think to your point, we had the same reaction again, which is like, this is great. You've done such an incredible job presenting the story. Let us marinate on this.
Yeah.
And that is when I started kind of going through the process of understanding like, what should the budget be? And very similar to you, where you went and sort of asked, advisors and friends, like what the number should be. I also turned to like our board and our advisors. And specifically, I remember, wait, actually, hang on. I have a prop.
Oh, okay.
Hang on. I printed this out. This is the only time you'll see our notes on paper. I emailed Jim Stoneham, who is one of our advisors and partners over at Signal Fire, and he was the previous CMO of Stripe and the previous CMO of New Relic. And so he knew that this was coming as well. And I wrote, this is May 20th at 12:57. This is probably right after you presented. Hey, Jim, I asked Jess to start pulling together a marketing budget. She presented it to me with an incredible story. Open parentheses, and a number that made me fall out of my seat, close parentheses. I don't know what I don't know. Do you have 15 minutes today to give me some feedback? And so he jumped on the phone with me and he also commended the story. And he gave me a really good framing that I think like every CEO or CMO, whoever's accepting a budget or approving or denying it should have, which is like, there's no in marketing. And he's like, marketing is a creative thing where you're always trying things. Things that worked last quarter won't work next quarter. Things that didn't work last quarter will work this quarter, right? So he's like, there's no no's in marketing. He's like, what you should do is go through our budget and look at what are things that you're already doing that are working. So what are you going to continue? What are things that you're not doing yet and you want to try? So things you're going to experiment with. And what are things that you are already doing that aren't working that you need to stop doing or change the way that you're doing? So there's no no's. It's just like that framing. And so I don't think there was a single line item that we struck from your budget.
Correct.
There was no no's in how we processed it. I think the only things that we ended up changing was at the time we weren't doing a lot of like performance marketing or paid media. And so I think we said like, hey, let's approach this more with an experimental mind frame. I forget what the number was. Instead of $50,000 a month, let's start at, what do we say?
15K.
Okay, so we did cut you quite a bit in that particular line item. But I think we said we would like ramp it as things were going better. And like, spoiler alert, they're going really well. And so, I think that was really healthy because it allowed me to actually present that framing to you as well, which is like, hey, I love everything you're doing here. I'm not going to deny like your strategy. Let's start smaller on some of these things. Do you remember where we ended up?
The total, I think, was still in like the 175, 180 range.
Yeah.
So the big cut was the paid media. Mm-hmm. Looking back, it was absolutely the smart thing to do. Yeah. We don't have an in-house demand gen marketer yet. Easter egg. I don't think you're supposed to tell people it's an Easter egg, but whatever.
Easter egg. The thing she said was a hint and a clue.
Take note.
Take note.
Why do we turn Southern?
I don't know.
But in hindsight, it was absolutely the right thing to do because with no demand gen marketer in-house, I could not in good conscience like spend all of that money. I couldn't even, we didn't have enough ad creative. I didn't have enough bandwidth to keep kicking out ad creative and different campaign ideas that would have spent 50 grand a month in the right way.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really glad that we cut that to where we did.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. I cut your budget.
I grovel at your feet. Not worthy. But it was the right choice. And we learned so much off of that 15 grand a month. Like it doesn't even sound small. I've never had 15 grand a month to run ads.
Sure. Yeah.
So it was really exciting to me to have anything to run ads. And we learned so much, which we'll talk about in a later episode.
Yeah, totally.
Of course. Joshua Perk.
Jessica Cook.
Do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It is time for some positivity.
Positive affirmations.
It's the time
for positive affirmations from marketers.
Because we're drowning and have no budget.
And they need these positive words of affirmation.
Say nice things about us. Okay, I think people are done with us singing. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Dear marketer, your content calendar doesn't predict trends. It creates a timeline other marketers call the future.
Sorry, I'm just picturing you sending me this like spreadsheet of a content calendar and it's just like shitting glitter and gold because it's so freaking good.
It does do that.
Mine
do that.
Dear marketer, when you set KPIs, your goals achieve themselves out of pure respect for your vision.
It's so nice of them to do that for you.
They just obey.
They just do it.
Pure respect. Cool. So I feel like we've told like the real life story of what this actually looked like. But I want to get to like key takeaways and like summarize this crazy long journey and back and forth and
Great
storytelling. Idea. You wrote a LinkedIn post right around the time that we were doing this that I feel like summarized this well and people responded really well to. Like, tell us about that. What were your takeaways? How did you summarize this whole process?
Yeah, I wanted people who have never done this before, like me, to like have something to have a jumping off point from.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to put together like the 5 things that I really took away from this process. So the first thing was like, go back to the strategy. Let the strategy guide your budget. If you've built a strategy, you're going to need dollars to make that strategy happen. Yeah. So I went back to the strategy, like the 3 big rocks were events, content, paid media. That was where I knew the bulk of it was going to go. Let's call it 80-20. I knew 80% was going to go there. Yeah. 20% was going to be kind of the infrastructure I would need to make those 3 things happen. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing. The second is sell the story. We talked a ton about this. Like, don't just put that spreadsheet in front of your leadership team. Make sure you're going to get them hyped to give you that money. That's your goal. The third is actually something you told me, which I love this. When I first shared the budget with you, you kind of taught me like, just do a little bit of acknowledging of the budget pressures you don't see in your own department. So for instance, our AWS bill is something that makes you and Nick's eyes twitch, right?
Yeah.
Like
worse than the marketing budget.
Yeah, we're way worse than the marketing budget. Remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll never be the AWS bill.
We're gonna be recording like season 4 of this, and it's gonna be like, Jess wants $1 million budget. I'm gonna be like, remember when you said you weren't gonna be more than the AWS bill?
Sorry. That's my goal. Someday ask for more money than the AWS bill.
I like that.
That's a really good goal.
Aim high, my friends.
Yes. Dream your dreams.
Dream your dream.
So I think it was like, I wanted to make sure in the beginning of that presentation that I spoke about that. And so it was like, hey, I know there's also things going on outside of marketing that don't affect me, don't affect this budget, but are on your minds. Yeah. And like, let's just put that aside for a second, because if this budget gets us to where I think it can get us to, those won't be so much of an issue. Yep. So that was really important to acknowledge.
Love that.
The fourth takeaway, I think, is shoot for the moon. Mm-hmm. If you really believe in your plan, ask for everything that is going to get you there. Mm-hmm. So if you are looking at that strategy and you're like, gosh, this is going to work. Like, I know it's going to work. You have to be just as confident in the money you are asking to make it work. Yeah. So put everything in there. The worst that you can hear is no, it might not happen, but like, don't shoot yourself in the foot by not asking for it. Yep. And the fifth is remember to put travel in there, because I forgot that part.
You did
travel
forget
is part of it.
That's okay. We just dock it out of your paycheck. Yeah, that's right. To travel.
So I stay at the Motel 6.
It's the Motel 6, yeah. I heard Jess is actually sleeping in the studio
Yeah,
tonight.
No, they moved this table for me and I sleep right here. Speaking of budget, we actually have to pay for this recording. So I think You brought your corporate card, right?
This was a great meeting, Jess. I gotta go, but it was a good meeting.
It was a good meeting. This meeting, it could have been a podcast.
It could have.
It was.
It was.
This Meeting Could Have Been a Podcast is a Vector production. Vector lets you build ad audiences from real people that visit your site, click your ads, and research your competitors. Imagine seeing exactly who will see your ads by name before you spend a dime. It's a great time to be alive, marketers. Go give it a whirl at vector.co. See you next time.